Cynthia. I'm need help with algebra. General algebra questions. And here are the questions. And also this one.
Well, congratulations for winning yourself that 19-inch TV. Remember, this show is proudly brought to you by Liberty. Guys, if you want to win awesome prizes and you also want access to information such as assistance with your math, just download our app or send us your questions via videos. We will help you. Let's go check out what the question is. Like I said, it's a little bit off topic. We are doing geometry this week, but this question is a question that comes from sets and exponents. It's a question that comes from sets and exponents. We're trying to simplify without using a calculator. Let's look at it together so that you can see what I'm talking about. It's a wild card. Right, let's just check the question. It says to us, simplify without the use of a calculator the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 48 minus 4 to the power of x plus 1 divided by 2 to the power of 2x. Now, in these kinds of questions, guys, we need to be up to scratch with our laws of exponents and our laws of sets. So let's see what we can do here on the space that is provided above us. First of all, you need to remember the following important rules. The square root of a multiplied by b can be written as the square root of a multiplied by the square root of b. In fact, it doesn't have to be the square root. It could have been the nth root of a multiplied by the nth root of a times b. Whatever the root that you have there, that's one of the laws of Surds. If this was an n here, I would simply have an n here and an n here. It works for any natural number that you are dealing with there. The second thing that you need to keep in mind when you're applying laws of exponents, which is one of the skills that I need here, is when I divide same bases, a to the power of x divided by a to the power of y can be written as a to the power of x minus y. So this is also very important. When you're dividing same bases, you need to remember to subtract the exponents. So let's continue and see what we can do in this particular question. Right, so I'm going to simply say the square root of 3 is the square root of 3. There's not much I can do on that. However, the square root of 48 can be written as 16 multiplied by 3 because 16 times 3 equals to 48 minus. Now 2 can be written as 2 squared, change it to prime base, and then we've got x plus 1 outside divided by 2 to the power of 2x, right? And then applying that law of sets that I spoke about of square root 16 times square root 3, these are two numbers under the square root sign. So I can simplify this and write it as the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 16 times the square root of 3 minus. Now, when you're multiplying, when you are dealing with an exponent raised to another exponent, the power raised to an exponent, you just simply have to multiply those exponents. You'll have 2 to the power of 2x plus 2 divided by 2 to the power of 2x. Right. Let's continue and see what we can do further here. The square root of 16 is a perfect square, and that is going to be 4 because the 16 is a perfect square, and the square root of 16 is just simply going to become 4. And the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 3 will just simply be 3. Right, minus, when you are dividing same bases here, 2 to the power something divided by 2 to the power something else, this is simply going to be 2 to the power of 2x plus 2 top exponent minus bottom exponent. Now, if you simplify this further, you need to understand where the 3 comes from. It simply comes from this square root 3 multiplied by that square root 3 will just give you a simple positive 3. Right, so 4 times 3. What is 4 times 3? Well, 4 times 3 is simply 12 minus. Now, when you look at what you're currently dealing with here, you've got 2 to the power of x plus 2 minus 2x. The like terms, guys, 2x is friend with 2x. 2 minus 2 will just simply give you a 0 here. So we end up with just a positive 2 that we are currently dealing with right there. Okay, so clearly, simplifying further, we have got 12 as our first term. So this is going to be 12 minus 2 squared, which is equals to 4. And then 12 minus 4 will just simply give you an answer of exactly 8. So the answer to the simplification of this question will just simply be 8. You're probably wondering why square root 3 times square root 3 is equal to 3. Maybe we might want to try and help you guys to understand a little bit more why this square root 3 times the square root 3 becomes a 3. This is quite easy. If I put it in a box there and say the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 3, this will simply be the same thing multiplied by itself twice. So you are sitting with the square root of 3 squared, right? And from our knowledge, the square root of 3 squared, the 2 and the square root will cancel each other, and then you are left with the answer of 3 inside the bracket there. You are left with just 3 as the correct solution to what you're currently working with. So if you look closely, you had to break down the 48 into a perfect square times any other number, because you know that the square root of 16 can be found, but we don't know what the square root of 3 is. We'll see later how to handle that. Then if you break the set to root 16 and root 3, the square root of 16 becomes a 4. Root 3 times root 3 becomes 3. And when you simplify this further, guys, 4 times 3, you end up with 12. And then on the right-hand side, this part of the exponent here, when you have a power raised to an exponent, you just have to multiply. 2 times x will give you 2x, and then 2 times 1 will give you positive 2 divided by the denominator there, right? And then when you simplify further there, we had to then subtract the exponents, because we've got 2 to the power something divided by 2 to the power something else. When you're dividing same bases, we always have to subtract the exponent. So it's going to be the top exponent minus the bottom exponent. So you then have 2x plus 2 minus 2x. 2x and 2x are like terms. They cancel each other. You're left with just 2 to the power of 2, which will amount to a simple 4. Right. So 12 minus 4 will then give you an answer of 8. It's a very nice question that is basically based on your grade 11 as well as grade 10's knowledge of sets and exponents, which come all the way from grade 9. It's very important for you guys to make sure that your content or your knowledge of grade 11 is up to scratch, because more than 70% of your final and your prelims are based on the work that comes straight from grade 11. So you have to understand how to work with grade 11's work and even how to work with the previous grade's work. And hopefully, guys, this show has been useful to you. We are still continuing with what I believe is the challenging topic for you, your struggle in geometry. It's got about 50 marks of 150 in your paper 2.